Hi there, I'm Laura from 5 out of 4 Patterns, and today is part 2 of the Lucy top tunic and dress sew along, and we are going to work on the bodice. I don't want to waste any time because we got a lot of work to do today, so let's do it. Okay, so what I have done, because my camera decided not to work, is I've taken our 2 tie pieces. You might have 1, you might have 2, it depends on how you cut it, how many you wanted, how long you wanted the string to be, the tie to be. I wanted mine super long. You can see it's super long right here, just so I can trim it down if it's too long. I just didn't want it to be too short. That's why I did it the way I did it. So how long the tie needs to be depends on how many loops you have, the width of your fabric, you know, things like that. So I went super long just for fun, and I attached them together. Here you can see I used white thread so that you could see that a little bit more clearly. So instead of having 2 long pieces, I have 1 very, very long piece, which is the first step in creating the tie in our tutorial. So if we move on to step 2, it says fold the entire length of your tie in half lengthwise. So long sides together, so you're going to fold it in half. So you have it here, you're going to fold it in half lengthwise, and then you're going to sew all the way down the long edge. All right, now make sure you use a stretch stitch or a serger for this part, because this piece, this tie, needs to be stretchy. All right, I'm going to go to my sewing machine or to my serger, and I'm going to get this thing done. I've stitched all the way down the long edge, and now I need to turn this really long piece right side out. So you can use a bobby pin or a safety pin or a bodkin. I cannot find my bobby pin, and I can't even find a safety pin right now, so we're going to make it work with this bodkin. Okay, here we are. Whew. That was a job. Now I just need to get my bodkin out, which means finagling that. There we go. Maybe. There it is. Aha. All right, so that is finished. My hands are a little sore, so I may take a 5-minute break, but we've got one very long tie. So it says to finish the tie, we can do this in a couple of different ways. We can, depending on how we're using the tie. Now, they don't have to be finished as long as you trim everything, because the fabric itself doesn't fray. They don't have to be finished. So you could tie it in a knot. I've certainly done that in the past. You can do nothing, or you can fold each end over 1/4 inch twice. So 1, 2, and then you can stitch across. Whoopsies. You could stitch across here. Those are your options. So I'm going to leave it as is for now. We can finish that up at the end. All right, step 3, we're going to create our lace up loops. If you're using, say, like a ribbon for this, or a drawstring, or, you know, things that are pre-done, you can skip this whole part and skip down to step 4. But I have 8 pieces of fabric here. And what I'm going to do with each one of these, make sure I've got 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, so here's our 8 pieces of fabric. I'm gonna take each one of these separately, and you don't have to make 8 loops. You can do 4 loops. You can do 6 loops. It's totally up to you. And if you're doing the smaller sizes, sometimes 8 loops is a lot of loops. So it's really totally your choice. So now we're gonna fold each piece with the long sides together like so. We're going to stitch across the long edge here. I'm gonna use a serger, but you can certainly use a stretch stitch. So let's head over to the machines and get that done. Okay, so here we are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's trim our threads here. All right, now we need to turn these right side out as well. Using a bobby pin and safety pin, it really is easier. It's pretty easy to use. I can't find mine, of course, because who knows? And so we'll use this. Okay, here we are. We've got our 8 loops. Now let's grab our bodice back piece. Oopsies. Okay, let's take a look here. Get this. I've notched out the markings where the slash marks are on the pattern pieces, but I'm going to go ahead and put a chalk mark on there. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but rest assured the marks are there. Okay, so now it says we're going to fold each loop in half starting at the bottom notch mark. So we have our loop, so we're going to fold it in half. I actually take it and I turn it like this and meet the pieces, so it kind of looks, I don't know if you can see that. Get it up close to the camera a little bit. You can see the way it looks there. So I take it and I just overlap the bottom like that. So we're gonna grab some pins and we've got to put these in place. So starting at the bottom notch, we are going to place our loop. So let's do the first one. And I'm gonna start it at the bottom notch and I'm gonna pin it in place. I tried to fix that a little bit. Not looking great. There we go. All right, there's one. All right, let's do the other side. Again, I'm taking that and I am meeting those together. Line that up with a notch, grab a pin. There we go. All right, now we're on to our second, what am I trying to say? Second loop, there it is. And we're gonna do the same thing, except what we wanna do before we place it is we wanna measure about 1 inch. So just about every inch is where you wanna put it. So I've got 1 inch here. You can either use your hem gauge or your measuring tape, or you can mark it, however you wanna do it. It's up to you, just so long as you're trying to be as consistent as possible with your placement. Now this takes you just about up to the top of here, at the top a notch, and so don't go up past that notch. You wanna stay pretty clear of the notch, or going above the notch is what I'm trying to say. If you wanted to do more, you could do more. They would just need to be closer together. Okay, so we've got our loops in place. Now we're gonna baste our loops. Now people don't like to baste. It's not the most fun thing ever, and we tend to skip the basting step. Don't skip the basting step. It's just gonna make your life a whole lot easier if you baste each of these into place ahead of attaching your side panels. So that's what I'm going to do now. Okay, now it's time to make our bodice. So we've got our loops ready. Now let's get our back side bodice pieces. You want to find the front side, the right side of your fabric, and you're going to lay it like this. It's going to look a little weird at first, but your goal is to match up those notches or those markings. Okay, so you start there and match those. And then we'll move up here and we'll match the bottom. And then we'll move up here. And I do the side, the very, very end first. Like that. And then when I hold it, you're just kind of easing it there. Not a big deal. It's not hard to do, but you're easing it in there. All right, so we've got one side. Let's do the other. Now there are instructions for how to pin this or clip it in the tutorial. Now let's head over to our serger. Well, first I'm going to repeat this process with my front piece, like I'm going to clip it the same way. And then I'm going to go over to my serger and I'm going to stitch along here using a 3/8 inch seam allowance, or you can use a stretch stitch on your regular sewing machine. Okay, it is time to go stitch. All right, so here we are. We've got our bodices. What we're going to do now is we are going to press them. So let me show you what the bodice looks like first. This is the front. It's so pretty. I really love it. So I'm going to turn it to the wrong side. Let me turn my pressing ironing mat up a little bit, or the other way, I should say. Okay, and now we are going to gently press our seam allowance toward the center. we are pressed in towards the center, and so here's what we've got. Looks super nice. Let's press the back bodice. So you're just going to have to maneuver your loops for this part, and then we'll maneuver them again once we turn it over. Okay, let's turn it over to the right side. Okay, so you see that your loops are facing out. So all you're going to do there is you're going to just turn them. Just push them towards the center and give them a good press. And when you lace it up, it'll fix itself, really. Now, you are more than welcome to top stitch if you like. It's totally up to you. Just be careful when top stitching around this area. All right, and that concludes day 2, and we are ready to move on to day 3. I'll see you tomorrow.